Quincy, there's only one question that we all have. Where have you been?
You know, man. I have to say, it's hard to answer that question. I went to a very dark place.
Man.
Um, and I hate what I would love to say I hate what I became, but I didn't become anything. I hate the fact that I didn't want to be myself anymore. I like to pride myself on always being myself, no matter what.
Right.
Come snow, storm, whatever. I'm still good old Q, arrogant Q, funny Q.
Mm-hmm.
And even through the situation that I just went through, I still was myself, but I didn't want to be. And I don't know, there's some kind of serenity when you choose to stay who you are no matter what. At least that's what I've been told.
Mm-hmm.
But I never found that. I was just being myself because I knew I had to. Bills still had to be paid.
Right.
Work still had to get done. You know, I went to a really dark place, bro. It was bad, and people saw through it. They knew. I mean, even though I was saying the same things, doing the same things, right? Still trying to help out where I could. I could just tell on people's face. Even the people who couldn't really tell whether or not I was doing it or not, I could just. There wasn't that same effect. Like even, cause I have a sales job, right? Even the people I was selling to, right? It wasn't the same, kind of joy. It's the first time they met me.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't myself, and it was hard. Anyway, but
I
we're here
was in my bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
It was late at night.
Yeah.
Maybe 9, 10, maybe even 11. My phone rang. I looked over. It said Quincy.
Yes, sir.
I said, yeah, why's he calling me? You know, I said, it could be for the podcast. It could be for anything, you know. I picked up the phone. I said, what's up, man? He said, hey. So you calling about the podcast? He said, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because he said, I'm done. And I was like,
I said that.
I was like, done with the podcast? He was like, dude, I'm just done. I'm gone.
Just done.
And so I want to know what was kind of going on. What's kind of going on in your mind during this time? Was it like this was? You told me basically you're leaving, right? You're leaving not just the podcast, but the church, right?
Mm-hmm.
The place you were born and raised in. What was going on in your mind? Was it going to be like a permanent situation, or was it like a temporary leave, or were you just like, I'm just done?
Man, I had no plan. I was ready. I wanted to rest, honestly. I mean, nothing's perfect. Nothing will ever be perfect. It's just hard when you've been told your whole life, when the world turns its back on you, and it will. You'll always have a solid foundation. Always have the church. Always. And I didn't have that. At least I didn't think I did. When you spend your whole life trusting, making relationships, just relying on people. I mean, people relying on you. You think, like, nothing could ever get so bad. There will never be certain lines crossed because, like, sewn together at the hip. And that's just not the case. I mean, nobody's perfect. And I think that was my problem. I know nobody's perfect, and I think we all know nobody's perfect.
Right,
but
right.
sometimes you just
Certain expectations are still
certain expectations you just like you think are a given.
Right.
But they're not. Nothing in this life is promised. That's the book.
Yeah.
And when sometimes you get so comfortable, you get naive, and you're like, well, this will never happen. This will never happen. But it can and it will, and I just wasn't prepared. Get ready so you don't have to. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Yeah.
Would you consider this a form of? And I think we talked about this before. Maybe not. Church hurt. Would this fall under the classification of it, or was this something different? And regardless on if it was something different or if it falls under the classification of it, what is your perspective of church hurt now that you decided to actually stay?
I think we did talk about it. I don't know if it was an episode we didn't air. Speaking of which, we did have. I mean, we had episodes. It's just some of them didn't come out, right? Which that's now you guys can see the name change on the. Oh, I didn't actually put a.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't put a cue card on this one. This is a different kind of episode. You know what I'm saying? We got a name change. That was an episode we shot. I'm gonna put it out one day. But it was like it was days before all this stuff went down. But we're the Uncommon Podcast now, guys. We're the Uncommon Program. I'm sorry.
There you go. Uncommon
the
program.
Uncommon Program.
Yeah, there you go.
There's something different about us, guys.
That's uncommon.
Yeah. I think it really is church hurt because it's like, I'm not going to butcher the verse. I'm just going to say, no, I am going to butcher the verse because I can't think of what the quote is. Yeah. Yeah, I'll paraphrase the verse because there's a quote in a book, in a poem that I can't think of either, so I'm just going to paraphrase the verse. If it were an enemy, I could have bore it.
Yeah.
But because it was a friend, because it was a
Psalms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have been hurt plenty of times before, but you keep it pushing, bro. By people like, who cares? You know, someone says something about you, you don't know me, right? Whatever. Because I was a brother, man. It was. So yeah, I guess this is a form of I want to make this very clear. It wasn't like I was hurt by my pastor, my first lady, by nobody in position at all, because that's not true. Now, giving that caveat, I think yes, it was a form of it.
Yeah.
Because I was just I never ever thought I could be I'll say this like this. I never thought I could be hurt this way through the church. I never thought that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just I've been here my whole life, bro. And I've seen people come, people go. I've seen people's lives change.
Right.
And I've been there through it. I have bled, sweat, and cried with some of these people my whole life.
Sure. Yeah.
So for certain things to happen, it's just changed your whole perspective.
Yeah. I don't want to jump the gun here, so I'll save that for a little later. But seeing that, all these things that happened, right, and the thing that kind of broke the camel's back, as they say, that kind of make you.
This was the needle.
Yeah,
it was the needle. Yeah.
The straw. Yeah.
The straw.
Yeah.
It was the straw that broke it, man.
It must have been obviously something that was strong enough to make you have the decision. But my question is, what was the thing that kept you from actually leaving? Whether it be friends or it be families, what did you actually do to rechange your mind from changing your mind?
It's hard because I've always told people, in an ever-changing world, find something that's consistent, something that's never changing, right? So you have something that can root you, ground you, something that can keep you close,
Right.
And I guess in a way, I didn't practice what I preached. I didn't find anything that is staple. I called you because I wanted to do it with integrity. I wanted to dip out because I hate when people just leave. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And without being too crude, sometimes when people ultimately leave life, it can be considered so selfish because you don't know the impact you had on people's lives. And that's why I said something to certain people, because I was like, I know how close I am with certain people, and I know just me going without saying anything, it's like, yo, where are the signs? What did he say? What did he do? Like, what was going on? What was going on? And I have been saying for months too. I'm not trying to defend my actions, but I don't want to pretend like I wasn't reaching out for months. I had said things time and time again. Sorry, I just really hiccuped and it really hurt my chest. I had said things for a while. I don't feel not loved. I don't feel as if though there was a real connection amongst everyone. Because if you go to any church, there's always like, we're a family, because that's the Bible, a church body, right?
Right.
I'm not feeling this whole family gimmick that we're all saying. It just feels like a whole bunch of a propaganda. This whole it sounds like something you just tell somebody to get them in the door, and then it's like surprise. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't feeling it. I was saying that forever, and everyone was like, nah, man, just find one person. It's like I say that all the time, just find something. But it's like why am I searching? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the family.
Yeah,
exactly. There's so many people in church. Why am I searching? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just so I had been reaching out, and no one was really saying anything. So then when I made this drastic decision, then everyone, it's like someone described it to me literally. They were like, when you say something like this and you feel this way, it's like a bomb threat in an airport.
Yeah.
Right. You can't just.
Yeah.
It's not something you just take lightly. You gotta.
Right.
Well, that's some major things need to happen. Because I was upset. I was like, why is everyone now deciding to care? And they're like, because you basically just called a bomb threat.
Did you expect that to happen? Like, when you were calling people, because I know you, and I know you weren't doing it. Well, at least I like to believe you weren't doing it to seek attention. But
Jesus,
well, you never know someone's heart. Only God knows, right?
Yeah.
But did you expect when you did call out to all these people and people did start finding out that you were planning on leaving, that they would come jump on, like, hey, you all right, man? What can I do? What did
I'm not gonna say I didn't expect it because it's a lie, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? Remind somebody of all the good before they do something bad. At the same time, I was more upset because I was like, where was all this earlier? You know what I'm saying? I was like, why do you care now? Type stuff. And it's like, I knew, and actually because I knew that it was gonna happen, it was easier to tune everybody out. Right. It was like, you're gonna say this, you're gonna quote this.
You did do that when I was
It wasn't gonna be hard at all.
Yeah.
I just was like upset. I'm like, why are you guys all like pretending to be okay? And I realized, no one was pretending. It's just like, dude, there's no justifiable reason to leave. But some reasons are like even less justifiable than others.
Yeah.
So when it happened, I was like, and it was late. Like he said, like I called him super. It was like 3 in the morning.
It was
it's late. And I was like, I don't know. I knew, yes, I did know it was going to happen. That I expected it to happen the way it did, not necessarily. And like I said, I wasn't just like oh, guys, look at me, I want to do this. No, I was sincerely like, and I think my biggest thing was I was so focused on I wanted everyone to understand why I was doing it more than the fact of like, oh, I'm just doing this. I was like, do you understand why? Because that's what I asked everyone. I was like, do you understand where I'm coming from?
Right.
They were like, I don't agree with you, but I guess I can see why you would. A lot of people didn't want to use the word understand because when you understand something, you're justifying. Like, yeah. They're like, I can see why you made the decision. Do I understand? No. And it's like, do I agree with you? No. Yeah. Like everyone, it was weird.
In that time when you were talking to all these people, was there any advice at all that kind of really stuck out to you, or anything that someone said that you hadn't thought about before, or that kind of really put something else in perspective that you probably wouldn't have? Was that thunder?
It was thunder.
We got our boy Luca over here.
Shout out to I was gonna put him on the second half of the episode. Guys, this is gonna be a long episode. I got a lot to say. I was gonna put him in the second half, but I guess it's pretty hot here in Vegas, but we finally got some rain.
Some thunder. It was crazy.
Dude, 130 degrees one day, bro. It's insane.
Crazy, record breaking.
Bro, literally, it's never been that hot here.
Crazy,
ever.
Crazy.
Well, finally got some rain. Finally got some thunder.
Thank God.
You said
was there anything that really stuck out that anybody that said said to you that you hadn't ever thought about before?
I will say that whole bomb threat thing was crazy. It was. Did it make me want to say no? But that wasn't the thing that made me realize I should stick around. But that bomb thing, it really made me think.
Yeah.
I was like, that was insane.
So there was nothing that someone said that made you say.
There's something to say.
Okay,
but I just wanted to highlight that.
Gotcha.
And thinking about it, because I told a couple dozen people. I think hate to stroke my own ego, but someone's like, dude, you're so much smarter than this, bro. You're so much somebody literally said, they were like, you've gone through way too much to dip out because of that. They're like, I've seen you come back from way worse.
That's true.
And I think that was the biggest thing I was trying to explain to people. I was like, it's not one reason, because honestly, it wasn't one thing.
It usually never is. Yeah.
It's the accumulation, man. It's that the magma under the earth that causes the volcano to erupt. It was the accumulation of just everything pouring on. just years and years of just turmoil. Like I didn't like. People say like, oh, I feel like I'm sitting on a powder keg. I didn't feel like I was sitting on a powder keg. I felt like I was sitting. I felt like I was on a powder keg.
Yeah.
With the fuse going off
Yep.
and right like a pool of like gasoline next to it.
Mm.
And just a whole bunch of hot hay and straw out of it. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
the second this catches, it's gonna burn quick.
Yeah.
And I without any thought, any remorse, I was like, bro, I'm out of here. And it was literally, I'm not gonna say that. It was really funny. I was gonna make a really big decision, because I had made it on like a one day.
Mm.
I was gonna make a really big decision on Saturday, but Friday, I got a call, and they're like moments before work, and they were like, yo, like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And that's when they were like, dude, you've gone through way worse.
Yeah.
Like, way worse. And it wasn't even that had got me to stay. It was what they said right after that. They were like, it was so crazy to hear. They said, I was like, we finally stopped worrying about you. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Like,
That speaks volumes.
I was like, what the heck does that mean, right? I was like, you guys, what, y'all think I'm going to hell? Like, what the heck, right? No, and it was like, they were like, no,
Probably the
of course
opposite,
not.
yeah.
Shut up. Yeah, it was like, we stopped worrying about you because, like, there's no, because so much is happening, because you've gone through so much, because I mean, a lot of it's self-caused. I'm not calling myself a perfect creature. I'm a victim or whatever. They were like, it's just, when this much stuff happens to you and you
Right.
still just decide to thug it out, it's like, nothing to worry about.
Right.
This kid's going to be fine.
Right. Right.
And it was like, hearing that, I was like, whoa. Like, so I guess, I mean, it's related to the whole you've gone through more than this, but it was like the fact that they, like a group, like a plethora of people were worried, and they were like, well, there's no need.
Yeah.
Because he's gone through. I think that's what made me, like, really, I was like, whoa. Like,
Yeah.
and then, I mean, yeah, after a long conversation, good
Yeah.
Lord Almighty.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. It was weird. It was a lot.
I think one of the an interesting thing when I was talking to you on the phone, at least, I don't know if you remember, but one of the things I said to you was, it was something along the lines of like, remember to keep God first, or something like that.
Yeah, of course.
And because the situation wasn't that you lost faith in God, it's not.
Nah,
This wasn't an apostasy situation.
Never,
Right.
never at any point in time was I like just cursing God and wanted to die.
Right.
Never wanted
Right.
to do that. I just simply wanted to get out of the position I was in. I wanted to.
Right.
I don't want to say move on because that's not true. I wanted to, I wanted. I guess it sounds terrible. I wanted to do the exact opposite of what the Bible says. In the latter days, draw the things together. I wanted just to be able to know God and have God for myself in the wrong way. Of course, you should have God.
Yeah.
You should have your own relationship with Him. But I just wanted to be able to like hop from church to church to church, see what I like, see what I don't like, right? Read my Bible, do it all by myself. But I mean, as I've always heard, God's not calling for a lone ranger.
So you were planning on going to like different churches or to
Just
another
to
church?
just to find out what I would like. You know, I wanted to same. I hate to say it, but I didn't want the same camaraderie I had. No expectations, no disappointment, right? So I wanted to find something that was, nothing blasphemous, none of that, like that sugarcoating,
Yeah.
like, what is it, pop church, like that sweet stuff. No, I wanted something real.
Yeah.
I just didn't want this claim of like, oh, we got your back at all times. I didn't want that because if I hear that again, I'm gonna believe it again. Or if I hear it again, I'm gonna think about the past. But if you hear something enough times, you start considering it to be true. And if I believe it, something bad happens again, then I'm just gonna be in the same position.
So knowing that this was not like an apostasy thing, and knowing that you still believed in God, this whole situation, do you think that you put your trust more in people than you did God? Did you blame God at any time?
No, I did not. In fact, what I've been doing lately and what I did in that situation, He knew. He knew what was gonna go down. He knew from before it happened.
Yeah.
He knew like whatever
Yeah.
was leading up for it to happen. He knew.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, because we prophesy in part, we know in part, right?
Mhm,
Everything's a mystery. What's the lesson here? What's the goal? What's
Right.
am I supposed to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Of course not.
Mhm.
But it's like, am I supposed to find something more,
Right.
better, different? Like at no point in time did I ever question God. I mean, did I ever blame God? I was just, I was so curious. I was like, what's supposed to happen?
Right.
Because God's perfect will, permissive will.
Right.
What's supposed to happen now,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
I never blamed him, and I don't know if I want to say I put more trust in people. I mean, well, okay, I'll say yeah. I mean, because you kind of have to. It's black or white. But here's, even though things are black and white, here's the gray I'm talking about. I didn't. It's not that I trusted in people like, people I can see, so I don't know. Da, da, da. It was more like these people told me that they're going to do what the Lord says.
Right.
They're like, they're gonna love regardless. They're gonna forgive regardless. They're
Right.
going to, right. I mean, shoot. Proverbs says, like, lots of paraphrases verse 2 because I'm gonna butcher it. Like, whoever comes first with a story sounds the most right
Right.
until the rest
Till-
of the story is told,
Right.
right? So I'm thinking everyone's gonna keep that in their mind because it's true. I mean, like, so now whatever you hear first, wait, hear somebody else's side, compare and contrast, right? 3 sides of the story: yours, mine, and the truth. So I trusted the fact that, which I've been saying a lot too, and please take this with a grain of salt. People who know the most, I feel like they do the least, right? Because like when you know to always forgive. I feel like everyone who knows to forgive, they don't hold all grudges, but they hold very specific long grudges. And I'm like, why are you doing that if you know to forgive, right? So it's like, I trusted the fact that people said they're gonna do what the Lord says, so why not?
Right.
That's
right.
so. I guess that's how I trusted in people.
So, seeing that you expected other people to hold up their end of the bargain, right? Whatever they promise, you expect people to hold to that promise. Do you see yourself always holding up the end of your promises that you tell people? Or have you ever told someone something and they trusted that you were going to fulfill it and then you didn't and they were disappointed because of that? Have you ever done that? Or what, also, I guess the follow-up question would be, in what specific ways do you make sure that you fulfill the promises that you tell people?
So, way back when you're a kid, you promise everyone the world. Right? You never deliver. You can't even deliver a city, let alone the world. But for so long, I found myself promising thing after thing after thing and never coming through. Right? And I can't tell you what happened or when it happened, but one day, actually, I think I can. It was, I don't know, someone promised to take me hiking at Red Rock, and it was like in the winter, which is my bless you, Jesus.
Thank you,
Hey
brother.
man, like you're not bringing that thing that attacked the entire world, right? You're trying to bring back a
No,
global
we all
pandemic.
good. We all
Jesus.
good. I can use another shut-in.
Hey man, listen.
I'm not opposed to it.
If you didn't learn a skill during COVID, man, you wasted
fumbled.
time.
I fumbled. I wasted. I took that for granted.
God, bro, no, I got jacked during COVID. Jeez, jacked, bro. I could do 225. I'm skinny. I had waves, bro.
Man,
Barbershops
did
were
have
closed
waves.
down, and I had waves. COVID was like my savant moment.
That's pretty good.
Oh man. Someone promised to take me hiking. I was super young, and I was like so bummed because it was winter, and I wanted to walk through the snow because I'm from Michigan. I think I've said that plenty times before. From Lansing, Michigan, and I just wanted to get a slice of home, And I don't know what happened. No explanation. They kept talking to me constantly after that. No explanation. It's just we just didn't go. Like I was never told why we didn't go. So when that happened, I was like, I'm gonna whatever I say, I'm gonna do it. The funny thing is, I just talked to somebody about that. I was like, unfortunately, like I take that too far to the point where it's like if I say it, I'm gonna do it, even when I really don't want to.
Yeah.
And they had just said, you know what's crazy? I just had a conversation with something like that. It's like, if Q says he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it, and that's not always great because sometimes he says some really dumb or crazy things, and unfortunately they get done.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, I want to be known as that guy who's always. I mean, I got terrible names. It's like, yo, you're always Captain Sava, or it's like, or you're Mr. Come in the clutch, and they're using me as insults. But I mean, that is one thing, in the best way. One thing I pride myself on. I like to always be reliable, no matter what, because I know how I felt. I know what it's like to not be reliable, and in doing so, I think I've created this a certain kind of complex because, like, I am horrible at communication, downright awful. I'll say it. I am almost only on Fridays. I am almost never on time for work. Almost absolutely positively never, right?
Never on time.
But I wasn't on time here.
No, you
I've
weren't.
never been on time here,
Jeez.
actually. Yeah, it's crazy.
You were an hour late, by the way.
Dude,
An hour late.
Yes, I was an hour late. I'm not
Over
doing
now.
that. And I was an hour late at work today, too.
Jeez,
I was, yeah. And it's terrible, bro. But on Fridays, always on time on Fridays. I don't know what it is, but I am always on time. But I know that when I do go to work, I'm always, like, overperform, right? I'm going to always, like I said, it's a sales job. Overperform, like, get as many faces as customers as I can, right? Do as much as I can, right? I mean, I've been, even some customers will tell some of my coworkers, like, hey, this is a really great guy. And it's like, hey, thank you, I appreciate it. Some lady I sold to the other day went up to my boss and was like, hey, you know who you, like, a really great worker you have? Quincy. She's an older woman. She's very sweet. Nice. Shout out to Miss Monroe.
I'm crying.
But I never communicate because I just know I'm gonna fulfill the promise. I promise them that I work my absolute best, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I won't tell them that I'm gonna be 15, 30, 45 minutes late, an hour late today because I know I'm gonna work my absolute hardest when I do get there, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with other people. If I tell somebody, oh, I'm gonna do this, right? I don't really care when I do it because I know in and of myself that I'm gonna do it. Like,
right.
You can ask Nathaniel. Even when I'm invited to parties, I really don't show up. I mean, I hardly show up on time, and that's because I know that when I get there, like, glory be to God, that people are gonna have a good time when I'm there. Yeah. Right. So it's just that's why I think that's why I hold people up to a certain reliable standard. And I was talking to my sister about this. She's like, even though because it's not technically considered wrong, like not everybody can do what I do. Not saying that what I'm doing is right or good or great. None of that. It's just that everybody can just sacrifice everything, right? And it's just throw everything away. Like, cause I do that all the time. Like, I can be in the middle of a project and be like, I'm sorry, give me 5 seconds. It's like, I know somehow I can do both, right? And it's like, and it's not like saying it's a bad thing. It's what I'm doing is not a bad thing, and the fact that they're not doing it isn't a bad thing. I'm just, not everyone can just sacrifice it all. So that's why I think that's what it comes down to. Your question was like, what do I do to make sure that I don't I come through for people, or that did I expect that? I do expect it, but I shouldn't, right? And it's wrong of me. I agree with that. I admit that.
I was actually you actually brought up a good point. I was actually gonna ask this. You mentioned earlier how one of your faults is the lack of communication. You're just really bad at that.
Terrible.
That's not something you're strong at. And you just said your sister said that other people are not strong in showing up for people the way that you would expect them to show up or hold to their promises. So knowing that, do you give them, the church, the saints, or anybody who promise you things, do you give them more grace knowing that some people may struggle in that area? Maybe they are great at communicating, but maybe they're terrible at holding to their promises that they said. Do you, going forward, do you give them more grace, or how is your relationship? What is your relationship with the church now?
I feel like I don't do it the right way, but I do give grace, but I feel like I do it the wrong way. Like, I'll literally have to get my 2 cents out, which you shouldn't always have to. I'd be like, oh, such and such, look who just finally decided, or, oh, you weren't gonna, da-da-da, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, this, that, and third. I'm like, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm really not fine, but I'm saying that, right? And then when they explain it and they give like I've noticed I take, whether it be, there is a difference between an explanation and an excuse. But I've noticed, like, for people, I end up taking both, whether it be an excuse or a real, actual example of something you've done. I take both because that's what the Bible says you're supposed to do, man. You're supposed to forgive. You're supposed to, like, forgive 7 times 7. Like, you're supposed to do these things, and I'm happy to. It's like, man, holding a grudge literally is so pointless. Like, it does nothing. That's why I'm gonna be honest with you, and I've said this before too. I don't really apologize, like, because
you did something.
Yeah, I don't see the point. It's not gonna reverse how upset you are. It's not gonna make me feel better. It's not gonna make you feel better. So I don't know. I'll get the point.
But we talked about how apologizing.
Yes,
could,
I know. I got it.
Could acknowledge, at the very least, it's acknowledging the situation.
I completely understand.
Yeah. I mean, I saw from your perspective too. So you do give grace, but you said, like, in a way that may not be the right way, but it's still. Yeah.
God bless you, beloveds. This is Bishop Owens
and Elect Lady Owens. We are excited to invite you to an extraordinary event happening this August.
Join us for what's called the Beyond Conference, taking place from August 8th to the 10th at the beautiful Aliante Hotel right here in Las Vegas.
This conference is all about going beyond in both your spiritual and natural lives. Each day, we'll have morning and afternoon classes covering a wide range of topics, including health, financial stewardship, mental healing, and so much more.
We're bringing together experts in various fields to equip you with tools to live a more and fulfilling, purpose-driven life.
And each evening, we'll gather for powerful sermons delivered by guest speakers that will inspire and take you to the next level in God. Don't miss this incredible opportunity to go beyond with us at the Beyond Conference.
So register now. Join us for a transformative experience that will empower you to reach new heights in your spiritual and natural journey.
We hope to see you there.
Hey, please join us for the Beyond Conference. It's truly going to be amazing. It's just going to be wonderful. I'm very excited about the Beyond Conference.
That's so great, bro. I'm excited. We had an event recently with some young people. It was great. We had a great turnout. About
Yeah,
6
I heard
people
about that.
came, man. It was great. We started talking about like our Christian identity. It was great.
That sounds
man.
awesome,
I
bro.
love,
That's really
man.
cool.
I love that. But anyway, yeah, we are back.
Yeah.
You
You were talking about your experience, right?
Yes. So the first half was a little bit more sober,
Mm-hmm.
somber. This is more like more uplifting. The
Absolutely.
future, right?
We're back, baby. We're back, baby.
Yeah. The only thing I was gonna say is, I am not a stranger to church hurt myself. I'm not a stranger to mishap, wrongdoing, etc. But it's always good to remember what the goal is at the end of the day, and that is to represent Christ,
Absolutely.
to help point others to Him. And the whole duty of man is to fear God and keep His commandments, right? And having that outlook, you still love people, but you don't let them influence you to the point where they make you make big, drastic decisions, right? So, that being the case, right? Now that we know what the goal is, now that you decided to stay,
Yeah, I never said I decided to stay.
relax. The question I had, I wrote it down here because my memory, I mean, I'm getting older, man.
Yeah, dude,
you
I
know?
swear, bro. No, I agree. Memory's going, bro.
You know? How do you stay motivated and inspired to stay during challenging times?
Sounds terrible, but I remember stuff like this. You know, I remember what happened here. I remember that I decided to stick it out, thug it out. Honestly, man, like I said it earlier, you in an ever-changing world, you find something that's consistent, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, God is more than enough. Be that as it may, God gives you things also to dwell on that like are just never changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, my pastor and first lady have been doing this. They've been getting church hurt. They've been preaching every Sunday and Wednesday, 37 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like something like that is just such a it's such an inspiration, right? I'm gonna be honest with you. There's this this dog is going ham on this trash can. I think there's food under there. That's what I guess. I'm sorry. It was just he's been doing it for fast forever. No, there's this saint who saved for years, my whole life, right? Your whole life. She seems like, you know, I mean, I'm not saying she is one of those holier than thou type Christians. She's not, but you would like in the back of your head, you're like, oh yeah, there's no way she's not going to heaven type stuff, right? Was a message preached by our pastor like 2-3 years ago, talking about the rocks in your heart, right? Not forgiving people for certain things, right? And it's like, even when you forgive them, and the message is like, even when you forgive them, if you allow that hurt to linger, it's not really forgiving them. Yes, learn from the situation. Yes, grow from the situation. But if you sometimes when you like allow certain things to linger, or like you say certain things like, "Oh, I've forgiven you," but it doesn't mean God has stuff of that nature, right? That's just still rocks in your heart. That stuff can still prevent you. And to hear her say in a public setting, I think I've just finally now getting the rocks out of my heart from a situation that happened to me decades ago.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, this is before she was in the church. This thing, something happened to her. Gave her life to Christ, ran as hard as she possibly could.
Yep.
like I said, seems like she's just one of those people in your head. There's no way she'll ever leave God, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just no way she's not gonna be heaven, basically. And to hear her say that, I was like, whoa. It's stuff like that. I was like, if she can thug it out, I want to at least try to be able to. It's the certain things you hold on to, man. It's just, and I think the biggest thing, because something also said this to me, is like, you don't know who, I don't want to say relies on you, but you don't know who like looks at you and gets inspiration.
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
And it's like, if I did dip out of that specific place, who's like, man, I really thought, like, Quincy's just, I thought he could, and then that starts to hurt them, that starts to affect them. I don't ever want to be the reason why someone gets discouraged, sad, disappointed, and leaves. I don't ever want to be that reason. So I think, in the back of your head, that you don't know who you're upholding, you don't know who you're encouraging.
Yeah. So, based on what you just said, is there any specific impact you hope you left on somebody by staying? Or do you just hope that, generally speaking, people are encouraged that you stayed?
I mean, I hope I left some kind of, I don't think I did by sticking around, but I hope someone was like, yo, like, I'm not even sure what happened, but the fact that the Lord kept him is a real encouragement. Like, I know the Lord, if the Lord keep him, Lord keep me.
Right.
Because, guys, I'm not that great. I've been told that plenty of times before. I'm not
Dude,
that
what are you
great.
talking about? You're the greatest. You're the greatest.
I mean, that's what I thought. That's what Nate says, but, like, everybody else.
You told me that you're the greatest person to walk this earth besides Jesus.
I did not say that.
I thought you told me about that the other day. No? That wasn't you?
No,
that was
not me.
Tyrone.
It was Tyrone.
Okay.
That's what it was.
There was something I was gonna ask you. Okay, let me think about. I think I remember it. Again, we're talking about future here. We're talking about outlook. So, what is one main thing? I was gonna say one word, but it's kind of hard when people say one word. What is the one thing that you learned that you can apply now and going forward, whatever? Like, in this whole situation, the straw that broke the camel's back, everything that led up to it, you decided to leave, and you say, you know what, I'm actually going to stay. What is the one lesson that you learned that's like, I can apply this to any situation and decide to keep going?
I mean, well, I think I've quoted this guy before, Ralph Emerson. I guarantee I have. I love Ralph Emerson.
Sure you did.
Right, yeah. He said in his walk, he treats everyone like his superior, and this way he learns from him. And when you do that, I guess I've just learned, like, dang it, he does need coasters. With that heavy. Hey, these hoodies, super absorbent, We're not selling them, but, like, if we ever do, you guys got to cop yourself some super absorbent hoodies. Love them. Super nice and not too hot, even though it's 130 degrees.
It
I'm
wasn't
not
that
hot.
I was not.
Right?
Yeah.
I like it's a comfortable hoodie.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, if we start selling these guys,
Definitely.
One thing that I've learned that I can apply to all situations. That's a really good question. Dang. That's like something I gotta. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I wish you would have sent me that over before we started the episode.
Well, while you thinking, I'll
yeah.
continue kind of going with Ralph Emerson.
Ralph Emerson. Yeah.
He's almost quoting the Bible because there's a scripture that Paul said, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it was Paul. He said, "Regard others as more important than yourself," and I feel like that's really deep. Well, obviously it's the Bible, but I feel like it's really important to treat other people as more important than yourself because sometimes we can get so caught up in ourselves. I'm not saying that we shouldn't love ourselves and don't need mental health days and mental checks and like that, or mentors or counselors. But sometimes we can get so caught up in us that we feel like the world is against us, and then we end up making decisions that not only affect us, but then negatively affect other people. But if everybody, and kind of to the point you were saying in the beginning, if everybody had the mindset of treating others as more important and being there, then life would be a little different, Life would be what Jesus wanted it to be, right?
Man.
So I think that is important.
Okay, so I mean, I'm glad you said that because I had learned a lot of things from the situation, but it was hard to nail down what would apply to all things. And I've actually been, like I said, like the one thing I've been kind of focused on throughout the whole situation was two things. One, God knew what was going to happen.
Right.
He knew from
right.
A to B, from Y to Z.
Right.
He knew, right? And it's like, and at a point, there was a point in time I was questioning. I was like, if you knew it was gonna happen, I was like, why didn't I just leave? You know, days or months, weeks ago, years ago. Why didn't I just stay? Why go through this? If it, right, what was all learning curve? Why didn't you just put this in a book for me?
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
right? Yeah,
Exactly.
But it wasn't just that. It was also, dang, I just lost it. Wait, let it come back.
Bless him, Lord.
Hate that when that junk happens. When you get really, right when you're starting to paint the picture perfectly, you forgot what you're painting. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man. One thing I focused on. Sorry, the second thing that I focused on this entire time was that. Oh, there you go. And I know this is a super big cliche, but like if you read or think about it, somebody is always going through something worse.
Yeah.
Like always, bro.
So true.
And I really, and I know there was like, oh yeah, Joe, would you? And I get that it's kind of because when you hear that, it's so easy to be like, bro, like that's not helping me. But like, if you really like sit down and focus on it, right? During the time that I was going through what I was going through, well, as it was wrapping up, my cousin got into a really bad car accident, right? Then I found out that an old teacher that I still keep in contact with, also really bad car accident. Found out like somebody's car just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Another person's car, a new car wouldn't work, and it wasn't like they took it to the mechanic. He said, "There's nothing wrong with the car. I'm not quite sure why it's not starting. Engine's perfect, starter's great, battery's lung healthy, great." They're like, "I'm not sure why it's not working." And then I'm hearing this after this. Somebody was saying like, "Oh, my son's in the hospital." Oh, this. I mean, I'm talking to the people I'm selling to. Like, everybody's always going through something crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, who am I just to wallow and feel oh so bad? Somebody else got kicked out of their house. Somebody's AC doesn't work, and I mean that's probably the worst thing.
Yeah.
And then 130 degree weather.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing all this stuff. It's like, and I was like, who am I to like just? And I mean, that's why I think I start to appreciate God a little bit more, because it's like, yo, he deals with all this stuff all the time. Like,
Yeah.
he hears people crying out, screaming, begging. I mean, like, you think about what's happening in third world countries. You think about what's happening, like, just anywhere and everywhere. Like, it's crazy. Dude, it's so, it's crazy to think about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so who am I? I mean, like, shoot, running joke of the show, still be the running joke of the show. Nate's life, man. Nate's life,
My life is
bro.
amazing.
I
Okay?
swear.
I'm just thanking the Lord, 'cause it's
I
so good.
swear, Nathaniel's life.
It's different. Okay. That's it. That's it. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy.
Just simply thinking about his life, I know it's like, oh, it can't be that bad, bro. Like there's this modern poet guy. You know, everyone's a poet now, right? But he's actually really good. I mean, like, shout out to him. I'm not trying to denote his thing or anything. But he put a lot of people's situations all in one long poem, and one guy was like under a rock for 4 days, right? Arms stuck under there, so he had to cut it off.
Yeah.
And then he was listing things like that, and apparently all people who got lost or like lost in the wilderness, or like starvation, all that stuff, when they all got interviewed, they're like, could have been worse.
Yeah, isn't
And
it?
it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
It's to hear someone say like you're trapped under a boulder for 4 days, to the point where you got so sick of sitting there, whether you were thirsty, whether you were hungry, whatever, you're just like cut your arm off, like that's
With a pocket,
dirty
like
knife, but you're not big
not
or
a bone
surgical,
saw.
no, yeah,
like
you, and just be like, could have been worse.
like
That's-
I know.
It's, I mean, this wasn't a poem or anything. I saw this on there was a post online, you know. And I'm not going to speak about what he spoke about, because I don't actually agree what was said with the guy who was going over it, because he was saying mental health was important. I do believe it is. This young lady, I don't know how long ago it was, but this young lady was in a plane crashed, sole survivor. And her mother was sitting right next to her, and apparently her mother passed on very gruesomely, right? Was lost in the jungle, had jungle fever, right? All, like, for weeks up there. Then the people from the Amazon end up finding her, nursed her back to health, right? Flew back to Germany, and you would think something like that would like shock her for life.
Yeah.
Apparently, she went back to work the next month. Her dad told her to go back to work, and she did.
Wow.
And she lived her life normally, like it didn't happen. It's like when you hear stuff like that, somebody always has it worse. So I think like no matter what I'm starting to go through now, I really just gotta thank God that I have the ability to learn from what I'm going through.
That's amazing. I had 2 more questions before we wrap up this whole thing. Again, looking
This water's
for the
amazing.
future.
It's really good. It is.
Looking for the future, looking for brighter. We talked about forgiveness not too long ago. We touched on it a little bit, but let's kind of dive a little bit deeper into the whole forgiveness thing. We're not gonna, as you probably will notice, we didn't name the situation. We didn't name any names, whatever.
Peace
But
and love all around, guys.
but we're gonna talk about what it really means to kind of forgive, right?
I just had this conversation with my sister and her friend.
Really?
I literally just had it. Because what really is forgiveness? But I'm
Right.
gonna let you ask your question.
My question is, one, what does forgiveness look like when a situation affects you to a point where you're planning on forsaking all, right? And I'm pretty sure you're not the one, but I'm going to ask for the viewers. Do you look at, whether it's a male or female, if someone does something like to that regard, to say, oh, everybody's the same, all women are the same, or all men are the same because this happens?
This guy.
How does forgiveness look like? Or is it a case-by-case basis? How do you...
To me, or is like what it's supposed to look like? Because I can give you a personal answer, I can give you like a general text.
I want it to you. This is you.
What does forgiveness look like to me?
What does it look like to you, man?
Like, am I forgiving someone or somebody forgiving me?
You're forgiving someone and situations and maybe this situation, but we're, again, talking the future. We're talking hopefully things are gonna...
Oh, okay.
So-
So I can't, because I can't control what other people do,
Right.
but I can control how I feel, right? I mean, well, biggest thing that Nathaniel and I grew up in the same church. The biggest thing that we were always taught was, what is your second action? When someone offends you, like stepping on your toe, the action is to like, ouch.
Mm-hmm.
What is your reaction? What are you going to do right after? Right? It's
Right.
So, like I said, I can't control what people do, but I can control how I feel. I think forgiveness for me, like I said, I'm forgiving. I don't want to just say the cliche of, oh, just moving on. Just like I don't want to say it so blandly because it's just not putting yourself in a position to be back there, you know.
Okay.
And like I don't want to, and that makes it sound so like cut and dry. And it's not. What's the opposite of cut?
So together.
I was like, say I don't. So
Combine.
it's not so cut and dry. It's more so and wet. Are you sure it's so?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
I
just
don't
think
know what
it's
it's.
antonyms of cut.
I have, yeah. I'm gonna look that up after this. There has to be an antonym for cut. There's an opposite for everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so there's. It's not so cut and dry. It's so and wet. You know, it's combining wet. I don't want to put myself in that position to have something like that happen again. At the same time, I don't want to be afraid to open up. You know, do you see what I'm trying to say?
Kind of, but I want to use. People say that a lot too. I don't want to put myself in a position. How specifically? And maybe I can help out with. I'm thinking when you were talking, the first thing that came to my mind was the Sermon on the Mount.
Okay.
One of the things that Jesus said was, "Pray for those who despitefully use you."
Okay.
And so, in light of what Jesus said with that verse, how could you answer specifically on how you don't put yourself in those positions? Like, what does that actually look like? Not putting yourself in that position and forgiving.
That's what I was saying. It's like, it's kind of hard. It's not so just rigid. Because, like, when I say it, don't put yourself in a position, but I also don't want to be afraid to just, like, you know.
Right.
Because, because, like, I mean, I don't, in some countries, it's a form of torture to, like, just abandon people, right? Or just, so, and I don't want to, I mean, because that's essentially what I was going to do, was abandon the church that I grew up with. That's abandon people, right? I don't want to do that, right? So it's like, pray for those that despitefully use. I mean, like, the Bible says, you know, I mean, vengeance is mine, I will repay, so saith the Lord, right? That's Romans 12, right? It's like, rejoice with them that do rejoice, weep with them weep. It's hard to quantify forgiveness, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that we all just be like, oh yeah, you're forgiven, right? It's something you're supposed to do, morally do. But I don't think we understand the gravity of actions and second, the grief that those actions have, because
Right.
grieving is a process. It's something that's constant, right? And I think I'm actually like, I'm not gonna hold you guys. I'm actually stealing this entire next part of my dialogue, stole it from the podcast. I'm not gonna hold you. And I'm not ashamed to say it, and you guys probably all saw it. It's, we all grieve in different ways, right? It's like, if you get a divorce, right? You might grieve a certain way, but like in your grieving process, you're able to be better in a different marriage, right? So it's like, I just know, for the way things happened, for what the situation was, I can not put myself in that position by. It's hard. That's weird. It's a. Here, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna say what I have to say without overthinking. I'm just gonna full.
Lay your cards right.
Yeah, well, like, right. Even though I have a killer poker face, I am not gonna put myself in that position by simply just, and the only way I know how is just by simply not caring. And I know that's let me explain.
Sure.
Right? Because for what happened, it's kind of hard to control. Because like that could, for what happened, that could happen to anybody.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Literally.
Yeah.
It's just like, just to know my truth and stand on it, unwavering.
Yeah.
No matter what's being said, no matter how much it looks, I'm just like, you know what? No, I know this didn't happen. Sorry that it seemed that it happened to you.
Yeah.
I just know I'm gonna keep it pushing. Keep my relationship with God. Keep my relationship with the saints.
Yeah.
That's the best way. I mean, they say that the best revenge is success. I don't even want. I'm not looking for retribution. I'm looking for absolution.
Yeah.
I want everything. I'll say that. Everything to just work out for everyone.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, even though the Bible says, "Woe for all those who speak well of you," you're going to have enemies. I don't want to have enemies, even though I know I'm going to have them.
Yeah.
I want everyone and everything. I want everything to work out for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I feel like the best forgiveness is, instead of success, being happy for them.
Yeah, and hoping for the best.
There you go, yeah.
That's I think a really good answer, because people say, "Oh yeah, forgive, I won't forget," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." I
That's
get
the
it.
thing, though.
I get
yeah.
it. No, I get it, and I respect it, and I'm not saying you should, forget, but hoping for the best for that person, knowing that at the end of the day, remember, the goal is still the same. And it's to please God and to represent Him here on the earth, and hopefully we all get to heaven one day, right?
That's the hope. That's the prayer.
So the last question before we wrap up this wonderful chat, and I kind of feel like you have already answered it based on the last thing you literally just said. But if there's anything you want to either add to it or give a totally different answer, what is the one piece of advice you can give to our viewers who are either planning on leaving, who have experienced church hurt, who have experienced any kind of hurt from other people? What is the one piece of advice you can give them that they can keep going?
I don't know, man. No,
Good luck, guys. It worked for me. I don't know, man.
I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? Oh my gosh, no, I've heard of it. Like, imagine I just cut everything. I don't know. If I was to give any advice to anyone going through something that's like, that seems like, because it's like, quote a movie here. It's like, I know what it's like to be wrong. The legs turn to jelly, right? It's to feel so desperately that you're right about something. It's just, I know it's hard, but it's like, I think the best thing I can honestly say, if you're ever put in this position where you feel like it's time to go, you got to get out of here, you don't know what to do, right? First figure out why you're feeling that way, right? Honestly, and quantify it. Everything can be quantified. Everything can be brought down to numbers in science. Why are you feeling this way, right? Is it the situation? Is it the accumulation of situations? Is it something you can control? Or is it like can you control the way you feel? Is it people causing the situation? Like, quantify the situation. And then once you have everything down, like like I hate to use the word 'cause, like, it's emotions. Like I think that is the one thing that can't be quantified, or one thing that can't be.
Yeah.
But once you have everything, quote unquote, written down, quote unquote, all mapped out and added up, it's like find out, is that really something that can be overcome, or something that is can overtake you, right? Because if it is, I mean, the Bible says that you never be put on more than you can bear, right? So that's one thing. I'd say always remember that verse. It's the small, subtle verses that we say at the time. I feel like that really do have the most meaning. There's a reason why we're saying them. Right. Once we have everything really, like, once you really know the root of it, like the cause of the problem, find out, can this be avoided? Can this be changed? Like, you figure out those things, right? Because I think when I really sat down and I actually understood, it wasn't so much of, it was a situation, it was the accumulation situations, but it wasn't even in the accumulation of all the situations, it was effective. I just didn't like the way other people made me feel, right? And at the same time, like, you have to let yourself feel a certain type of way, right? Because don't get me wrong, I get the biggest dopamine high giving someone something, doing something for someone. That has just always been my character, always. But at the same time, though, you have to find out. I don't want to say this. At the end of the day, you have to find out not what makes you happy. That's not what I'm trying to say. More like what makes you do what you do, right? Why am I in the church in the first place? I mean, I'm grown. I could have left forever ago. Why didn't I?
Right.
I enjoy why I'm here. I enjoy what I'm hearing. I enjoy the Lord. Just honestly, take a second. Think about who you're impacting, who you're affecting when you're doing this, right? Because there's bad impacts, like what happened to me, but there's also good impacts. People who look up to you. Like, you're an example. You're the example. You don't want to have blood on your hands, right? Yeah, I mean, I know that was a real weird roundabout thing I would say, but I guess to sum it all up, find out what's really wrong. That's what I would tell people. Find out what's actually wrong.
Kind of one last follow up to that.
No, yeah, go ahead, man. We got time.
Does prayer play a big factor, and does counseling play a big factor?
Biggest factor is praying about it, because like everyone's like, oh no, I mean, God was only talking to people in the Bible, but it's you know when something's right and when something's wrong. You can tell when something's a sign and something's not. And I know, like, it's not all signs are clear. Like, you're not always gonna be like, Lord, tell me how to figure this out, and then you don't see a stop sign, and boom, a stop sign's there. It's like, no, Lord, that wasn't you. It's like, no, I'm not. All signs are gonna be that clear, but it's like sometimes it's the little things, the subtle, right? I think that's the only thing that got me through this. Not only my prayers, but like, the Bible says the prayers of the righteous availeth much.
It's true.
Don't let him lie to you. Nate wasn't praying for me at all. Don't let him lie to you. But there were people who had me in their prayer closet. Yeah, there were people who had me in their prayer closet. It was for sure. So it's not just my prayers. Like, really reach out to people. And I'm not saying rely on them. I'm just saying, like, because there's an old saying, trust but verify. So I would say that's like, don't rely, but console. I feel like that's too hard a word. I feel like it's too much.
Yeah, I feel like I know where you're going, but I'm trying to think of the other words. Not necessarily relying on them, but it's also like,
is it relay?
Still in a sense entrusting them with part of you.
Don't relay like you're relaying a message. I don't know. It's hopefully you guys know what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to rely on people, but you can still entrust them with certain things, right? It's just because, like, when you really find someone, something, right? It's just, prayer. I'm gonna say it's probably the only real reason why I stuck around, because I mean, you can hear somebody say something 12, 15, 100 times, right? You might start to believe it, but like, you still have your own beliefs, and it's like, prayer is the only thing that really get you guys through, honestly.
Well, my friend, this is a wrap on
First episode.
I don't even know
back.
what episode this is, but it's the first episode back
Yeah.
on the.
Hey guys, that's one thing I'm really gonna be like trying to do. Like, we're posting every single day.
Yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah.
go back to that, guys.
Yeah.
I really do apologize for not
Yeah.
being around.
Happens to the best of us.
Hey
you know?
man, praise
We
God.
give each
All
other
you do
grace.
is
I give you
praise him.
grace.
I,
They give you
I
grace,
appreciate
you know?
that.
Yeah,
When he
for
dips
sure.
out, I'm still gonna be recording. We're just gonna have an empty seat there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's terrible.
This has been the Uncommon program.
The Uncommon program.
Great talk.
Absolutely.
Great things to come in the future. We got the Beyond coming up. Go
We got
sure
the-
to check
please,
that out.
Please, guys,
Make
go
sure to
check it.
like and subscribe as
Absolutely.
well. You know,
Absolutely.
we talk like this a lot. You know, we talk about deeper stuff as well.
Deeper things.
Yeah, follow us along. And until next time, my friend.
Until next time.
Sweet.
All right.